What's going on, and welcome back to the channel. Now, over the past summer, my family and I took a 3-week vacation to Portugal to visit some family and do some sightseeing and do some day trips. Now, over that 3 weeks, I acquired a lot of footage, both handheld and with my Mini 3 Pro. Now, most likely, a lot of that footage will not make it to YouTube, and I could have just added some music to it and made a couple cinematic sequences, but I decided to just use that footage to share with you a few tricks that I use to edit my footage and to make my footage stand out just a little bit more. So in today's video, what I'm going to show you is called split frame transitions, or mass transitions, or freeze frame transitions. And by using these transitions within your video, you'll capture the attention of your audience and also make your footage stand out just a little bit more. But before we get started, if you like drone reviews, tips, tricks, and tutorials, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell for future content. Now, if you are familiar with my channel, you know that Final Cut Pro is my editor of choice. All right, so I'm going to show you a couple ways of doing this. It's not required that you have third-party plugins, and you can get by just by using the plugins that come with Final Cut Pro. However, it does look better when you use the third-party plugins, which I'll show you during the tutorial. So we're going to start out with this top-down clip here. Now, this is not from Portugal. This is actually my neighborhood, but this is one of the best top-down shots I have right now, so we're going to use this as an example. We want to duplicate this clip, so we're going to hold down the Option button, click and drag up, and it duplicates it. And from here, we're going to make sure the playhead is at the first frame and hold down Shift and H to create a freeze frame. And then we're going to cut this clip down by holding Command and B. And just one quick note, if you want to expand the hold or the freeze frame, you grab this handle right here up in the corner, right-hand corner. Now, if you grab the end of the clip, you'll be expanding the clip and you'll end up with the video portion at the end. So just one quick note on that. All right, so from here, we just want to move this freeze frame here to the side and go to the first clip. Then go over here to the Effects tab, scroll down to Mask and Keying, and you want to select the Draw Mask and dump it right onto the freeze frame. And then from here, we're going to mask out the road. You can also zoom out just to expand these points so it'll be off the screen. And now that we have this completed, we can duplicate this freeze frame and then click Invert. Right now we're going to put another draw mask in here, and then we're going to mask out this left side of the screen. So this doesn't really have to be neat. You can actually do the mask right down the middle of the road here, because we do have another mask within it. So you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. And like I said before, you can zoom out so you can get the mask on the outside of the screen here. And then we can duplicate this again. And for these bottom layers here, if you hit V, that will mute them. And if you invert this mask, now you have the right side. We're going to click on the top clip and then go to Crop. And then we're going to use Ken Burns. We're going to use Ken Burns instead of using keyframes. So as you can see, the green box here is your starting position and the red box is your end position. We can actually just switch that around and then make the green box just as large as the red box. Make sure it's the same size as the red box. And then we're going to take this start box and move it out to the edge of the mask area. And make sure your center is lined up with the x-axis here. So if you want to preview this, you just hit this button here and you see that the left side is moving in. Now we're going to repeat this on this side here. We're going to hit click Ken Burns and then do the same process by placing the box outside, right outside the mask. Now you have your movement there. I'm just going to make these clips invisible here. So with this, I'm going to add a page curl transition. So I'm going to go over here to my transitions, and then I'm going to search page curl. And then we're going to click the end of this clip here, and then double click the page curl, and it adds the transition in automatically. Now if I play this, nothing is happening. That's because we need to make adjustments. So you click on the transition here, and then you want to change it to close. And now when I play it, it comes in onto the screen, but that's not how I want it. So with these handles, we can change the direction or change the way it appears on the screen. So I'm just going to make a couple adjustments here and then play it, and that's pretty much what I want. And to slow this down, you just click the end of this transition, click and drag, and just slide it down. So to make it a little bit slower. And now when I turn these clips back on, you see everything coming together. So if you are enjoying this video and finding it useful, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, because it does help YouTube push it out to more people who are searching for content just like this. Now to make this look a little bit smoother and a little bit more pleasing to your eye, I've added motion blur. Now motion blur doesn't come with, Final Cut Pro. This is a third-party plugin, and it's not too expensive. Actually, it's not expensive at all. So if you interested, I'll leave a link in the description below to where I got it from. So this motion blur is in the title section. Moderate motion blur 2 is what I actually like to use. That's the intensity I like to use. So when I play this back, it has a little bit of blur to it to smooth it out. If you want to speed the rate of the sides coming in, all you need to do, since we are using Ken Burns, so all you need to do is actually just shorten these and it'll make it a little faster. Now another effect that I used was a zoom in, and you can do this by using keyframes within Final Cut Pro, but this third-party plugin actually makes it a little more, make it a little more simple, and then also it's smoother when zooming in and out. And I'll leave a link to that in the description below as well. So I'm going to use this zoom out smooth camera zoom, place it on here. So now it'll start zoomed in and then drop. Also, another thing you can do is add a speed ramp to the beginning of the video portion. You want to slide your slider to where you want to extend your speed ramp to, and then press Shift B. And the quickest way for me to do is to click this drop down and go fast, maybe eight times. And that should be good enough. And if you want to extend the range of your speed ramp, you just double click and then hit edit and take this handle and then slide it to where you want it to be. And I believe this might be the best. There we go. So there's a little speed ramp there right at the end of the zoom in to make it look pretty dynamic. And if you want to make things neat, there's one little quirk. If you make a compound clip of all these clips here on top of this transition, it'll make it look weird. For example, I'm going to show you, just redo what I did. And now, as you can see the actual page turn in the page curl transition. For some reason, Final Cut Pro, this is a thing that it does when you add a clip on top of a transition as a compound clip. So what we're going to do is break this apart, and we're going to make this its own compound clip by itself by clicking on the transition and then the clip here, and then hitting Option G, and then we're going to make it overall into a compound clip. And by doing that, it doesn't create that little glitch. And you have everything nice and neat. So when we move the clip underneath it, this is how it looks. I also added some sound effects, and I also added a rumble effect to the clip. Now you can use the effect within Final Cut Pro. They do have an earthquake effect that you can use, but again, you have less control over that. With this third-party, plugin, I do have a lot of control and actually make adjustments if I need to. So with this rumble effect, I added it to this video clip, and then started it out at 45. Clicked the keyframe, and then went forward maybe 8 frames, and then reduced it to 0. So when the transition closes, it creates a rumble effect like that. And then you can add a rumble sound to sell the effect. So there's another thing I forgot to mention as we were doing the mask. You can also highlight the points and then right click and then click smooth. That way it will smooth out the curves of this mask here. So with this next transition, it is the same concept but a different effect. So what we're going to do is start out the same way. We're going to duplicate this clip here and then press Shift and H to freeze frame it, cut it down. Then we're going to start masking out portions of this freeze frame. So I'm going to go over to my effects tab, go down to mask and keying, and then drop in a draw mask. And I'm going to start masking from here. And now that we finished that portion, what we're going to do is duplicate this one time and then invert the mask and then add another draw mask. And let's cancel this one. So now we know where we left off, and then we're going to start cutting out another section of this. Now that we got this cut out, we can actually deactivate, click this clip, and then just deactivate this first mask that we put in. And then again, we're going to do the same process. And add another draw mask. And we're going to invert this mask here and press V to deactivate that clip so we can start cutting out. So the second mask here is where we left off. You want to click the third mask here so you can go ahead and start tracing out the last portion of this. So with this one, I'm going to be a little bit more precise with it. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more to get a better look at it. So now that we got that cut out, we can actually invert this. Now we have the top portion of it. And then we can also deactivate the 2 underlying masks there. And now that we cut out everything, we can make adjustments to the mask. We can feather it out to make it look a little bit smoother. So just feather it in just a little bit, shrink it. And we can do that on each mask. Now this effect is supposed to look like an accordion. So what we're going to do, instead of using the kin burns, we're going to use keyframes. I actually like using keyframes for this type of transition only because you get a little bit more control over it. So I'm going to use keyframes. So right now these clips are stacked on top of each other out of order. See, this one here is on top, which should be on the bottom because it will be the last one that will pop up. So what I'm going to do is switch the bottom and the top one. So now if I click the bottom, see it ducks in behind the other clips. So I'm going to disable the bottom two masks, and then we're going to start with this one here. So the first frame, I'm going to click on this transform tool, then slide it down so you don't see it anymore. And then I'm going to click keyframe on the position, and then I'm going to go ahead a couple frames or several frames, and then put this back to 0, and then click on the keyframe. So now when I press play, it moves up into position. Now to adjust these, you hit Control V, which opens up the clip here so you can see where the keyframes are, and you can just click and drag these to wherever position. So now we're going to work on this middle frame, and we're going to stagger. So by the time this first one reaches this point, I want the second one to start showing. So I'm going to just keyframe this here, keyframe the position here, and then slide it forward, and then keyframe the position here, and then bring it up to the middle, back to the middle by pressing 0. So I want this other clip to basically stagger to make the accordion effect. So what I'm going to do is take this keyframe and just slide it over maybe one, maybe another frame. All right, that's better. Now with this one, same thing. But with this one, I'm going to make it a little different. So I'm going to start out on the first frame, and I'm going to reduce the size. And then I'm going to go to the next keyframe and then enlarge it back to up to 100 to give it a little different effect here. Like it's actually growing into position. And from here, we're going to add some motion blur. And just like the last transition we did, we're going to add a zoom out effect so we can pretty much get rid of these areas where you notice the cutout. Just add this effect here. Turn that off for a second. And then we're going to zoom in slightly. All right. So now when it opens up, you don't even see it. Don't even notice. And now we have to shorten this so it will blend in a lot better. As you notice the sky here. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with that. So we're going to select all these clips, then Control V to open them up. Then we're going to slide all of them one frame past the keyframe here. Past the last keyframe in the sequence. Control V, and then move it closer to the video clip. And again, we can also do a speed ramp on the video portion here. Shift B. Then you can put this all into one compound clip. And then slide your clip underneath. So with this clip underneath, we're going to use this sky to blend in with the sky here. So what I'm going to do is use another zoom in here, and then right before the transition, it'll zoom in to the sky here. Increase the amount, and that way it will create a smoother transition. And there you go. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. One suggestion is use these transitions sparingly and not using them after every clip, or else it'll get, a little repetitive. Now, this type of stuff I picked up on YouTube by watching other creators. One creator that I do watch, name is Ryan Nagel. And I'll leave a link in the description below to his channel. So if you like this video and found it useful, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And also, if you like this type of content, please leave a comment down below if you want to see more. And also consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell for future content. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
I'm in my element, it's evident that there's levels to the game. All of those dark nights I got then, breaking my back to make it out, got me feeling like pain. I ain't never need your help, I know you wishing me well, a penny for your thoughts, but seeing no change. I snap for the sun like Diddy, the riches got a mad ass son, I'm like Billy. I ain't never switch up, whole team with me, putting on for my city like OAGZ. Set the pace as long as you finish, consumers find a way inside your business.